textile and garment manufacturing sector. She emphasized that advanced methods and modern technology will be introduced to boost production efficiency and global competitiveness. The finance minister also highlighted upcoming reforms in the national textile policy aimed at aligning the industry with the international standards and future demands. Special incentives will be provided for fiber production, ensuring raw material availability and encouraging innovation. These initiatives are expected to generate employment, enhance exports, and position India as a global hub for textiles while supporting sustainable growth and modernization of the sector.
For the labor-intensive textile sector, I propose an integrated program with 5 subparts. 1. The National Fiber Scheme for Self-Reliance in Natural Fibers such as silk, wool and jute, man-made fibers and new age fibers. Textile expansion and employment scheme
to modernize traditional clusters with capital support for machinery, technology upgradation and common testing and certification centers. 3. The National Handloom and Handicraft Program to integrate and strengthen existing schemes and ensure targeted support for weavers and artisans. Tex Eco Initiative
may make the point a little clearer, the announcement itself clearer. 76 at the front side.
So pollution is a priority with government, and not everything has to appear at the budget speech is how I would put it, ma'am. So we are working with many state governments on projects related to air pollution, even water pollution. There is a significant budgetary outlay on sewage control as well as drainage. And as it was noted, you would have seen the Finance Commission recommendations also. A large portion of the Finance Commission grants to the local bodies, urban and rural, is tied to water and sanitation, particularly I would say sanitation. So pollution of all kinds remains a top priority, and there are different ways in which we are trying to tackle it.
Hello ma'am. Ma'am, I am Monica from Business Standard. Ma'am, I have 2 questions. Ma'am, I have 2 questions with regard to customs. Ma'am, in your budget speech, you said that honest taxpayers will be able to close their case and they can pay the additional amount in view of penalty. So I want to know whether this is a customs amnesty scheme, and if you can provide the contours of this scheme. And also, ma'am, economic survey flagged the need for convergence between transfer pricing, which comes under income tax law, and customs valuation. But there was no mention in your budget speech. So is there any such proposal being considered by the government?
Both on the direct tax and the indirect tax. This is not an amnesty scheme.
So pollution is a priority with government.
Has to pay the duty, he will like to pay it. But because our laws require him to also pay a penalty on that, the negative connotation associated with being penalized, which he has to obviously disclose at some point of time, does create a situation for him or an incentive for him to rather dispute the duty, even though he may not want to do it. So the window that we are giving to the taxpayer is that you will, if you are willing to pay your tax or whatever is the duty, instead of penalty, that same amount you can pay in the form of an additional amount. So it will not be either a relief or an amnesty. At the same time, this amount that you pay will not be treated as a amount which you have paid as a penalty, and therefore that negative connotation will go away. You may have seen that there is another announcement of a similar nature on the income tax side, where when it comes to the cases of under-reporting today, there is a provision under which you have to pay tax, interest on tax, and a 50% penalty. If you are willing to accept the demand and not go on appeal, you need not pay the penalty of 50%. You can go ahead and pay your tax and interest, and the matter is closed. What we have done is expanded this window and included even misreporting cases, where penalty is otherwise 200%. But there again, we are telling him that you can settle it by paying the tax, the interest on tax, and this 200% get reduced by half. You pay 100% as an additional income tax. The idea here is that if you are an honest taxpayer, accept the fact that you have to pay the duty. We will not like to brand you by using the word like penalty. That is these two windows are essentially meant to take care of those situations, which is why reference to an honest taxpayer. Yeah, we are examining that separately.
194.
Left side, yes. Back.
Ma'am, this is Amitod Singh from CNBC International. Congratulations to you and your entire team. I have two questions. The first is around foreign investors. There were a number of expectations that, taxation structures would be changed, particularly when you think about things like withholding tax. So what we want to understand is whether that was even discussed within the government. My second question is 15% defense spend increase. How much of that has to do with global uncertainty?
Revenue Secretary can answer on the first question. See, global uncertainty is something which definitely occupies all the officials' mind when we are preparing for the budget. But I won't attribute it to be the cause for any one step. Across the board, we kept that in mind. So it's not the cause for any one thing that we've done or one thing which we did not do. That's kept in our mind. Our macroeconomic fundamentals are strong. You heard the CEA speak that despite you having a macro sound economic foundation, you're still sort of facing a world which is uncertain. And therefore, when currency, Indian rupee versus the dollar becomes an issue, you have done everything within the country to make sure your fundamentals are fine. But the uncertainty globally is affecting on many grounds, and we are seized of it for everything that we do, not for one particular thing, but ours.
Yeah, I think today we need to look at what has been announced in the budget. So we would rather focus on that, because there would obviously be many of the issues which would be discussed and deliberated. But what has come out for you before in the budget is what is there, and we should probably focus on that. And if you saw that there are many announcements, especially which are addressing the needs for attracting investment in India, bringing more certainty, both for the residents who interact with their related parties as well as for the non-residents who otherwise do business here. There's a whole host of those announcements. You would appreciate that what, for example, has been done in IT services is a change which is completely, and it's a fully comprehensive change, which practically will take care of just about 30 companies need to now sign APAs. The rest, all 11,000 odd, will be covered under one or the other system of certainty of taxation, either through safe harbor rules or through the APA agreements. So this has been a major change. In specific sectors where we felt that the residents needed certainty, we have provided that, whether it is in the data center, whether it is in manufacturing, electronics, even for the expats, if they are going to stay here, the experts, for a longer time. On the data center, I just thought I'll take this opportunity to clarify, because there was some speculation about what has been done. The thought process in this is that a global entity which is providing a kind of cloud-based data services uses data centers all over the world to provide services to the customers. So it is very difficult to connect one-on-one as to which data center has resulted in what type of revenue. So the international entity of this nature would like to set up data services centers in India, which is a net economic plus for us, because it adds to that level, scale and level of economic activities. It has strategic purpose too. So the arrangement we have done is, just because that entity will set up data service centers and will use this as one of the many to provide services globally, should not become a cause of uncertainty for it that its global income will get taxed here. So that is the certainty which we are giving to it. Quite naturally, the data service center which is located in India will be taxed depending on the way it is positioned. And that entity will be selling its services to customers in India through a reseller entity, which again gets taxed. What we are excluding from taxation is this global entity, which is essentially doing cloud-based services, using data services centers across. And we do not want it to be deterred from enhancing its business footprint in India to provide such global services.
I'll just come in to add to that point on foreign investors, to point out one or two points on the Part A side also, which are important. One is that this was this ask from AIFs for a very long time, that most AIFs in our country are formed as trusts. Their request had been for a pretty long time to consider if the LLP Act can be modified and amended to align it with the functional requirements of AIFs. That has been announced today, which is a very big move forward, as it will allow them to, the amendments are going to be of such a nature that by becoming LLPs, first of all, the liability will get limited. And then there are going to be amendments which will also allow for document filing, rationalize for entry and exit of partners, and similar such things to make it easy for the AIF partners. So that's one of the announcements today. The other was the announcement on the PROIs and the relaxations given therein of how much they can invest in a company individually and together. So those limits have been significantly enhanced, and all of it has been rationalized in line with OCIs and NRIs. Other than that, the FEM NDI rules, we intend to review it for two things. One is, again, we are continuously in touch with investors. There are asks over there. So instead of doing it one by one, this shows the intent of the government to actually reach out and address the world which is interested in investing in India and make it easy for them to do so.
214.
मैम मैं आलोक प्रियदर्शी हूँ CNBC आवाज से। मैम मेरा सवाल यही है कि जो सवाल STT से रिलेटेड है, सिक्योरिटी ट्रांजैक्शन टैक्स से, मैम यहाँ पे मैम जो पॉलिसी है फ्यूचर एंड ऑप्शन को लेकर सरकार की क्या पॉलिसी है, थोड़ा सा स्पष्ट